Make sure everybody's on. Had to get YouTube back. But tonight we're getting into where you guys may be at. You guys may be ready to move abroad, but there's some questions you may need to ask yourself. Some of the things that are directly on the forefront is, are you ready? Because what you are dealing with is outrageous. Obviously, if you've been at work, you may have not have known, but there are some interesting things that have happened in the afternoon in America, and the internet is having different reactions. Somebody uh, is no longer here, and you guys are in this scenario where, take the person out. Someone on X said, we interrupt this incident to at a college to go to a incident at a high school. And I thought that was the craziest thing because, despite the person or whatever, um, that is a reality where there are so many mass incidents in the United States that it's not like a scenario of, okay, well, maybe this isn't something that's going to happen. No, it's going to happen. And apparently, I think right before I got on, I saw that they are going to be flying flags at half mast for this gentleman. Um, you may be ready to leave. These things are continuously getting more interesting. I don't know what is going to be the straw that breaks the camel that is used back. But what I am seeing is definitely more reasons why people are actively looking to leave. I don't know what is going to end up being the ultimate reason. However, today's incidents or what normally goes on if you're just in America, these things may be part of the reason why we're looking to get out of there. It's consistent cycle of news. We used to be in this scenario where if something happened, we weren't able to see it. We weren't able to see it so immediately, unfiltered, unedited. The news would say we have a graphic video coming on from the scene. Viewers be warned. However, that didn't even happen today. I've seen things just in today where I'm like, man, no matter who it is, don't nobody want to see all that. And it's just America is doing its best to desensitize you from the norms of where you guys are. So what you're seeing right now is consistent desensitization. So when I consider some things that you need to ask yourself when putting on the table for you, in your life, your family's life, your potential future, what are you ready to go from? Is it this? Is it something else? Is it a culmination of things? If you guys are new here, my name is RJ. I've been living abroad for the last 3 years, so my bad for just jumping in because obviously it's definitely time to get on because there were so many things going on. But my name is RJ. Created this platform so you guys that are looking to move abroad had somewhere to land. When I left 3 years ago, I did not have anywhere to land. I had to figure it all out by myself and was able to compile over the last 3 years a way for somebody that is still stuck in America to be able to follow a path, follow experts, not just me, just it's other people that we, work with to be able to help shape your move abroad so you don't just start from TikTok and that's all you got. Well, they told me on TikTok. We want to make certain that you guys have somewhere to go to, whether it's one country or another country. Some of these things are foundational, but some of them do get nuanced down here. So the nice conversation is around what do you need to ask yourself? So I tell people when asking yourself, why am I moving abroad or what should I do before I actually go move abroad? You have to realize that you are in a position where there is no blueprint or there wasn't a blueprint. No matter what you went through from an educational perspective, the blueprint of leaving America and leaving what you're seeing all on your TVs and on your Twitter feeds or whatever way you consume media, even the news. These things are Very valuable when you consider it's like you are actively tired and fed up. But what are you tired and fed up? Is it just this? You guys need to ask yourself this. And I put a lot of onus back on you because you are you. I'm me. I left because of my reasons. Maybe you or my reasons will overlap, but oftentimes your reasons may have other reasons. I don't have children. I don't have a pet. These things are all relative to the person that they are. So a lot of our conversations are questions back to you with no answers needed for me. They're for you to help prepare yourself in this move, how to do so. Be somebody that at least when you get off of this conversation and you decide after all your research, we can meet you somewhere. We can actually help you and guide you all the way through. So you got to really like consider one of the first questions that is like, what am I leaving? Is it today? Is it what you just saw today when it's just like enough is enough? They went from a college to a high school. There were two incidents at the same time. And what happens after this, considering the polarizing figure that is no longer here, considering what was said, considering how it is being spun right now? Many people may be running from that. We talked about that yesterday, though, that running from something, it is not always good to just run and leave and not actually have any value of where you're actually looking to go. I get it. I keep telling y'all, I understand. What you've seen today, it gets oppressive. It feel like you're being desensitized to something that you should have a reaction to, or depending on who you are, because that particular individual, you guys, some people may not have a reaction that you would, but there are plenty of people that are going to be upset. Yet, never mind who it is and what it was, it's the fact that in America, it's common to see these things. These things aren't the first time, and it's not going to be the last time. And these things, when you get into the list of things that you're looking to get rid of or at least leave behind in America, you have to really realistically frame these as overworked and overwhelmed. You probably just getting home just to sit down and sit on the couch. Cool. But realistically, you have to understand that you don't have the time to plan your move in your head. So I tell you guys, one of the first things to do if you are literally considering moving abroad, you need to write it down. I don't care. Listen, sometimes your parents give you great stuff. Sometimes your parents give you not so great stuff. I have no idea who your parents are, but my dad told me, he said, write it down. I always was weirded out by that. Like, why are you writing so much down? He was like, if I don't put this down, I'm going to forget. I got 1,000 things going on. How I'm going to remember everything. And he used to get very specific about, not used to, he still does this. I'm going to the barbershop today. And it's just like, I have adopted that just because I have so much to do. So when you talk about moving abroad, you have so much to do. How can you take this task on without some where to reference, some point of reference, some understanding of what you are actually leaving? Because when you look at it and it comes out of your head, you actually look at it on a piece of paper and you say, these are all the things that I'm leaving. How overwhelming can that list be? Because you probably had it in your head and it was down to five or maybe even 10 things you can name off your head. But when it gets down to 15 and 20 and 25, and you look at all of these things that you're just like, I got a feeling that this isn't normal. So I ask you, what are your whys? Because the first thing you guys have to do is understand your whys are going to be important. Why am I leaving? But conversely, you also need to know what you're looking for. How can you leave somewhere you've always been and not know where you're going, where that place could be? You guys have the internet, the power of the internet. You're watching me on the internet. Use it wisely. It's not just for chat rooms like how it was back in the AOL days. You guys can help shape your new life, whatever and wherever that may be. But you actually have to put this into a scenario of, okay, what am I leaving, but what am I looking for? So that way you can position yourself as far as within a goal of, well, these things that I'm looking for that don't have these, well, these aren't everywhere. Because you guys have extreme opinions about where you think that you want to go. And I asked some very pointed questions to the people I consult with about their move abroad process. And I'm just like, I asked them some very pointed questions, and they're like, I didn't think about that. But you were going to move to Asia and you didn't think about that? Or you were going to do this and you didn't think about that? But I get it because we are overwhelmed. So, number one, please, these things are going to be important. Don't be afraid today to even write it down as I'm telling you. But know your whys. Know your whys. Why I'm leaving and know what you're looking for. That is one of the biggest things that can help you understand where you're going, frame your mindset to get even into the second thing that you need to consider. Because the second thing you need to consider when framing your mindset of what you're looking to leave and what you're looking for is realistically like, are you ready to get what you're asking for? Now, I'm not a big on person on, box religion or anything, but one of the things I do remember from growing up, people used to say, are you ready for what it is that you prayed for? Now, you don't have to be a religious person to understand that. Are you ready for what it is that you asked for? Well, I want to leave America. Do you? Are you going to take it with you? Are you emotionally ready to leave the comfort of where you are and the things that you've actually been seeing all of your life to go to another place? No matter what, even if they speak English there, that's not America. You guys are so ready to leave America, but haven't even asked yourself, are you ready to actually be in another place? Actually get localized to customs, to language, to dress. So many people tell me, well, I'm not going to a place I can't wear my Louis Vuitton bag. I remember taking a boat out. Now, it was a Cartagena, so the boats are rented 9 to 5. And you got to get on the boat like 8:15, 8:30, probably 8:30 or whatever, right? So, I'm getting all the people on the boat, and I see this woman and she's got a carry-on. And we're going on a boat. She got a carry-on. Not only is it like a carry-on, it's not like a regular bag, it's like a Louis Vuitton bag. And I'm like, where are you going with the Louis Vuitton bag, man? What could possibly be that important? And what do you think you're going to do on this boat in the middle of the water with no internet service? Like, but it was, I have, maybe it was work, sure, but it's a Saturday or whatever day it was, but we're also in the middle of the water, so you're not going to get any work done. And it's just like, I've been in scenarios where people are like, well, if I can't wear my designer, then I don't want to be there. You want to be Louis Vuitton Don? I mean, what are you willing to emotionally like give up? Because y'all think that it's like, oh, well, I'm not willing to give up certain luxuries in my life. Listen, let me tell you something. I can't speak for everywhere, but I've lived in Medellin for 3 years, and I will tell you this. They have everything that they have in the United States that you actually need, but it's all way better than what it is that we have in the United States. And it's way cheaper than what it is that we're paying for. So you guys' version of luxury, and you guys have been not spoiled, but sullied by the third world thing. You guys don't realize that these places that many are going to, they're doing fine without y'all. But you can't bring America there with you to think that you're going to be in a scenario to actually be successful with this move abroad thing. So emotionally, you have to know what it is that you are leaving and know what you're looking for, but understand that Narnia don't exist. The perfect place doesn't exist. What are you willing to say? Well, you know what, America, I got this, and here I don't have to deal with this, but I might have to deal with this. But I'm cool with that. Versus you trying to shove a square peg into a round hole and being like, why isn't America fitting right here? Why isn't my American thought process fitting right here? And it's like you weren't ready to leave the U.S. These are for where you are right now, on your couch, on the way home from work, sitting in your car, listening to this. This is for where you are now, considering all of the things, not only today, but what you've seen before today, that it might have already led you down that path. Never mind what comes after today that none of us know. But it's understanding that you have to be ready to leave it, and not just, I wouldn't say not just the bad things. Some of you things that you guys are think like, some things don't exist in other places. Something as small as like, and you ask for something and don't realize that it is bad for you. and you go somewhere asking, and I'm a guilty person of this. Something that's simple, super simple. Now I know how to cook, but one of the things that I do not know, like I just stay away from it. Like I can cook everything else around it. Rice kicks my ass. I just don't know why. I need to get a rice cooker, but that's neither here nor there. But you know those little bagged rices you can make like real quick, like get them from the grocery store. I came to Colombia, like, where the rice at? Like, nah, not that big ass thing of white rice, like, you got like Mexican rice, certain other rice. And they're like, we don't have that, bro. Like, we don't have that. And I'm like, why don't y'all have that? And then I'm like, because what are you asking for? Like, why would you ask for like pre-made rice with preserved seasonings in them to make the rice spectacular? But I can't. I brought that with me, and it's something as small as rice. But it's like these things get so much more elevated when you get abroad that you can be as small as rice and so many other things that people are looking in and being like, "Well, where is it at?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You weren't ready to leave, huh? You wanted it to be there. You weren't ready to get rid of some of the stuff and realize that the way you may have been living." Not only was it not conducive to you, it's actually not conducive to anybody's positive mindset, positive physical health. Think about all of the things that have been rolled out in the last just week. Healthcare rising, like these things. I saw something today, some guy, regular job, had a hernia. Long story short, they charged about $70,000, and they were like, "Yeah, you can go to Mexico, it's like $1,000." Like, but first world, am I right? America. So we get into this stuff because it's just like y'all don't know where to start. We're only on number two. Now, one thing I tell you guys is I always talk to us, my community. If you happen to be not from my community directly, and I'm talking about us black folks, that's cool. But I'm specifically talking to black folks in a way where we can understand because what we don't understand is this. I would say the average person in America feels like America is like, I'm an American. I'm an American. I'm an American. However, a lot of my folks that I know don't feel like I'm an American. I don't wear red, white, and blue on July 4th. Like, nobody's, like, if I go to a spot and I'm like, man, I remember going to, looking for a apartment in Florida and pulled up to the place. Everything was cool. Walked up to the second floor and went to go see the unit, made a right, hard right, the biggest American flag. I said, we see this place, but is Captain America living next to me? So these things, when we talk about moving abroad, it's just like we aren't really given certain privileges in America. So we don't really understand certain things from a global perspective. And Americans don't understand things from a global perspective, less black, white, whatever, unless they came from somewhere else. But with black folks, we're not really in a scenario where we're looking at things and we're going to be like, well, somebody's going to see me and be like, there's an American. No, we're used to seeing like that's a black dude. The black guy over there. They're not like the black American guy, the African American guy. They're not saying that in the United States. So we're not used to that, especially if you haven't really left. But when you get abroad, it's like one of the biggest mindset shifts that you really have to go through is, hey, bro, you're an American. They see you and think you're an American. Even if they assume that you are a local black person at first, they may look at you or see the way you dress and be like, nah, something. Then they hear you on the phone or you go to speak your Spanish. You're like, this Spanish sucks. That guy is from America for certain. And then it's different. Depending on where you go, the difference could be good or bad or indifferent, but it's definitely noticeable. And I tell my folks that is because I can't tell you all the time. The first time I realized that they was gonna treat me like an American, wait till the boys at home hear this. So it's like a mindset shift, for us that we have to understand that because we're not in a position in a lot of places to cause even things. Like even if you have money in the United States, there's not often times that black people are seen as gentrifiers. It's just not often. Like, oh, the neighborhood was cool, but now I see a bunch of black. Like, imagine nobody says in a traditionally black neighborhood when they see other black people running around, they're like, just other black people. But when you see somebody, it's like, I have never seen someone jogging in this neighborhood, and now they're jogging. That's interesting, and they don't look like anybody from the neighborhood. We're not used to that, even when you have money. But going abroad, no matter what your financial status is in America, you automatically are probably like a lot of times in a scenario where, especially, it's isolated to where you go. You go to some Eurocentric places, cool. You go to some places, there's there's wealth everywhere. But when you get into it, you're like, you could be displacing people because you are just in a bad situation and you spend $3,000 a month for rent and you think $1,500 is a perfect amount to spend. And all the utilities included and it's furnished. You're like, I got a deal. Well, the person before you that they kicked out to bring you here or sell whoever it was that was going to pay for it, they paid $400 for that place. Now it's an $1,100 increase per month. Per month. Now, some things aren't that egregious, but these things are reality. So I talk to us and tell y'all, like, y'all have to understand. And I said this the other day, like, just because you hurting don't mean that you have the right to hurt people. And it's not, oh, well, I didn't know. I'm telling you right now. Like, I'm telling you right now. So if you are hearing this and watching this, you can be a gentrifier, black folks. You can be somebody that displaces other people. You could be somebody that is just as bad as what you're looking to leave in America in another place and completely blindly ignorant of it. So it's just, it goes back to the one I said before. It's like, what are you emotionally ready to shed? But two, even niche down to us, you need to realize that you are going to be treated in a different way that you don't even know what to do to when you get it. Like, you're going to be like, this what do I do with this? Like, you want to treat me a certain way because of this? And it's just like, hey, this is reality. Because you guys are like running on these social media platforms and watching all of the viral videos and everything and basing a lot of where you're thinking to go off of what you see. And I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But when I tell people, I had this conversation with my boy Sad the other day, because he was like, oh, I'm in Mexico right now for a time being. And he was like, oh, I just go to Mexico. And I'm like, your whole situation different than mine. Mexico might not be the place for you. It might be fine for me, but is it okay for you? And I tell y'all not to sell yourselves, not to sell yourself on somebody else's life of what you've seen. Y'all gonna be on the internet and be like, oh my gosh, so and so told me that this was this. Someone told me that, it was perfect over there for people like me. And you get into a scenario where it's like, is it perfect for you? I always tell y'all, is America the greatest country for you? Never mind for the entire Americans. I'm just for you. Then when you get to these other places, like, have you asked yourself the tough questions that you need to ask? Like, how am I making money? Is the time zone worth it? Let me tell you something. Though I cannot wait until daylight savings time because the 1 hour that I got to get up, I'm up at like 5 a.m. sometimes just to get everything I need to get done. And it's just like that 1 hour. It's only 1 hour. So going somewhere that's 3 hours, 5 hours, 12 hours. Are you realistically asking yourself what that looks like to have a normal life, or are you just sold and told because you're ready to leave the United States, and you also are in the scenario where it's just it sounds good, and some of y'all haven't even traveled like anywhere. Like, maybe you've traveled around the United States but haven't really you just got your passport, and it's like, well, where do I go? Well, my best advice is not to leave yet. My best advice is to start like start traveling. Like, if you have, a lot of y'all don't have remote jobs, so y'all are calling me asking me where do I get a job from abroad, and it's like, it don't really work like that. But if you are in a scenario right now and you have a remote job and but you just haven't traveled, and you can travel, don't go somewhere and they're gonna fire you trying to work over in Mexico or Panama, whatever the case is. But like, somebody with none of these restrictions and they can go work, just go see. There's no reason for you to go sell everything. Like, you might not like it. I can't tell you that you are going to like everything I like. I can only give you my perspective. I bring on 1,000 other people so you can get their perspective. So many people are enjoying themselves abroad, but you might not like it. But at least you know, and at least you didn't sell everything that you own. Especially because it may be your first time leaving. I know people that haven't left Philadelphia. Never mind, traveled up and down the coast. Never mind the entire United States. So y'all have to look at this and be like, how do I really get my head around this? You got to go see. You need to go sit on videos like this. Take a flight. Save up if you have to save up. Take a flight. If you can work over there, like as far as remotely, your passport get you 90 days. Use those 90 days wisely. These things are important. I tell y'all, like, so many people will say, yes, even if you haven't traveled abroad, don't worry about it. I'm going to get you set up over here. That's a money play. I would rather you and anybody that goes to move abroad have a good time than position myself in a scenario where I'm going to just take your money. And if you have a good time or not, that's not my concern. No, I understand how important this is for people that look like me. Never mind anybody else that is in a position to like realize that America is not what it's selling. But I take a lot of I look at it in a way where you can't play with this. That's why I put there's so much ownership in asking you guys these questions that you need to ask yourself. Because if you don't really have any understanding of where you're going, I would not tell you to go sell all your stuff and move to Mexico. You've never been there. And Mexico is an entire country. Y'all see Mexico City, y'all see Playa del Carmen, y'all see Merida. I've had people are in Oaxaca now. What's good for you? How can you know? You can only do so much online research. You can only watch so many videos before you say, okay, I'm stimulated to at least go to at least one of these places and just see. And then you're going to have an opinion to be able to say, okay, well, I did the research, so I came here prepared. And yeah, this was fun, but I don't know if I could do this every day. Aren't you glad you didn't sell all your stuff, and move right there based off of what you were sold for that be the first place? Now, it could go the opposite, and you say, this was exactly what I was looking for. This is exactly what I want. Good. But you still have flexibility. Should it not go the right way? You guys can't think that everything is going to go 100% the way that you have designed it to. So when you talk about what do you do if you haven't traveled much, start. Don't go sell all your stuff before you actually start traveling. It's on you to walk the journey in the right way. It's not on anyone else. I'm giving you the tools, but you got to use the tools. If you don't use the tools, these not aren't going to be good. Now, one of the biggest things that I got because America has charged you guys so much for everything, is how much money did you save to move abroad? That's what my dad asked me actually. How much money did you save to move abroad? Like, how much money do you think that I'm spending here monthly? Now, normally, when you go move into another, like a new apartment anywhere, like even in the same city, you got to pay your first, depending on where you are too. Because in Florida, they like first, last, and security in a lot of places. So that could be 3 months up front. Depending on how much your rent is, your rent is $3,000. That's $9,000 up front plus moving costs and application fees and all that. Let's call it $11,000, and you in the same city. So I understand why he asked me that at first, but I'm like, well, I know the first place I moved at it was $900 for three bedrooms. $900, all the utilities were included and everything. They had like a elevator and everything. So now, coming from South Florida, I left when rent went up to $22,000 off. I mean, I think it was at like 25, and they went up $400 or something like that. And it was just like, alrighty, what are we doing here? But people ask me like, well, how much money do you need to save up? And I'm like, you don't need to save up. You just really need to have the money. Like, yes, you need to have money for a flight. And, I tell people you usually can get 3 check bags and a carry-on and a personal item. That's probably what you need to move. Maybe you can get, even if you came with 6 in one person, it's only 6 bags. Like, that goes really fast. I got size 12 feet. How many shoes is that going to be in one thing before 50 pounds is exceeded? So even at 6 bags, um, you're going to run into like those things. But as far as like thousands of dollars, so many of y'all are conditioned and trained because y'all been watching these things online and being like, oh, you know what I should do? I should never have gone to a country and get the nomad visa because everybody's over there and that's what I need. There's also nothing that you need to do with spending the money to do that. You don't need, your passport gives you 90 days on a stamp and 180 days in a year in most of these places. Most of these places are also going to be visa-free access. So you don't need to go get a nomad or a visa to go there. No, some people do. And it's not even a nomad visa. It's just like a visa, a tourist visa. But yeah, like I need y'all to realize that it doesn't mean that you really like it a lot. It's like, okay, I did. I know where I'm going to live, all of this stuff. Even if you go do that, cool. But you got to realize that like you don't need the tourist visa. I mean, the nomad visa still. You guys don't really know still really where you live. Like 90 days is a good test run, but you really don't need that visa like automatically. Like save your money. You're so used to spending and everything costing. And it's like when you find out that something isn't a cost, you're like, oh snap. Wait, so like I don't have to pay. I just need to show them this blue passport that I already paid for. It's like yes. Then when you decide that yes, I want to be here longer term than what 180 days gives me, that process. But before for what? With deep breath is you might not the one thing that you need is like if you have $500 or let's call it I don't know the money that you needed like let's say that was covered you had the money to go pay for a flight and all of that stuff and to put your stuff in storage and you can move out cool but as long as you are making the money that you are in the United States even if you make let me tell you how crazy it is at least in Colombia the digital nomad visa when you do go apply for it I think it's $1,000 a thousand eat live and eat a month. Even the people 100% homeless. In the United States, you are. I told you about the privilege that you have and how to successfully like navigate that because it is a brand new feeling. But don't let money keep you in. The only thing that you need to make sure of is I can still make this money over there. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. So I know a lot of people are like, well, I can't really save up money. It's like, listen, you could just take the money that you have and get out of Dodge. You just need to be able to make days, United States. one of the big, you know, like no, it doesn't. You have nobody cares about either one. Well, like purchasing, you know, if the you better where you go, there may be some fine, and oftentimes, despite what the world thinks, Americans don't have $100,000+ in cash. I know my folks just aren't just sitting around with that in abundance. Like it's not in the freezer or nothing. So moving abroad, also with your international private money, selling your house, be valued no matter what it is. Then it's going to be a problem when you um realistically more so like just like a root canal. Where how many of my homies is missing side teeth? Like in serio, like not even people I know, just people in general. Like you can't. Oh, I can't afford a root canal, so I just had to get it taken out. Now you're missing teeth. Like these things can cost thousands and thousands of dollars in the United States, even if you pay for monthly health care. So what do you do? These things abroad, and good thing is, this is not something often that you have to worry about. The healthcare and the people that have access to healthcare are way more abundant than what we're given in the United States. The entire experience is different. But you guys have to be very specific about what ailments that you may have, pre-existing conditions, because not everywhere is set up. That's why I tell you guys about learning the neighborhoods too, because if you live very far from one of the better hospitals in the country or in the city, then and you need to have these kind of things, why would you go do that? Why would you go live far, but if you don't know? So it's just like asking yourself, my daily maintenance, but if you do, you do need to look at to get access to it. Now we pay